like to get started. So first, I want to thank Angelica again for having us here. This information is so important when it comes to the disaster relief programs that are available. But before I get started, I just want to give some information to make sure that everyone's on the same page. So first, for Angelica, this is extremely important. As you know, she is all about building the Latino communities and strengthening them. So providing informational platforms like this is extremely important. So thank you so much, Angelica, for making this possible. So before we get started into the presentation itself, I just want to give a couple of rules of engagement. So for now, what we've done is that we've gathered a few questions in advance. So we're going to start with the presentation, which is going to answer a lot of questions and just give everybody more insight. And then from there, we're going to segue into answering the questions that were submitted in advance. And then we're going to open it up to answer the questions for everyone on the platform. So we ask that you hold off so that we're able to track it and just maintain the questions until the end, just in case your question might end up getting answered throughout that process. If it wasn't answered, then we do ask that at the end you start plugging in your questions so that we answer it for you. In the interim, I suggest you get a pen and paper so that you don't forget your question. So from there, the presentation is actually listed in the comments below. Rita has plugged it in there for you so that you're able to follow me. At the end of this will remain on the platform, and then you will be able to ask questions if you happen to catch this on the replay. If you're catching this on the replay, we ask for you to please play this in full instead of just asking questions, because your question may have been answered here within this video. Okay, so let's get started. So if you go to the presentation, I'm heading over to that right now. Today, we're going to be talking about the SBA loans as part of the disaster relief program. The first thing I want to make clear for today, full disclosure, I am not an SBA advisor. I do not work as an employee of SBA or SBDC. I am an international business strategist, and I work collaboratively with SBA, SCORE, and SBDC to make sure that small business owners and entrepreneurs are getting all the resources they need to be able to develop their businesses for success. So because of that relationship, we work very closely together and we try to get all the updated information at all times, because the SBA actually provides a plethora of information and resources for individuals that if you're not getting that now for free, I suggest that you make sure you make contact beyond this. The SBDC, SCORE, and SBA provide free mentorship as well as so many other services, such as free industry reports that cost about $1,900 for you to get, which is going to be really, really important in developing your business. Okay, so that's disclosure. Okay, so we're going to go into page 3 of the presentation and go straight at this, where we're going to discuss the loans. So right now, the big topic about the disaster relief program that has been created is the fact that it's forgivable. For those of you that don't know what forgivable means, it means that you don't end up having to pay the loan. However, it's very important to clarify that forgivable is conditional. Do not go thinking that this is automatically free money. That is not the case for the bulk of the loans. Okay, so it is conditional. Another important piece before we go into the meat and potatoes of these loans is that it's not automatic, the forgivable piece. You have to go in and request for the forgiveness of the loan. Okay, so that's really, really important. Don't just assume that, hey, I got this and I don't have to start making payments ever. That is so not the case. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next page. I want to make sure that we go into clarifying what's happening right now with the government, with SBA, and the lenders that are happening. we understand your frustration. The frustration is intense right now because everyone's really unclear about what's happening. There isn't much guidance. But to be fair, it's not because they don't want to give it to you, or it's not just because they don't have the manpower. It's really because right now everyone's in reactive mode. The government is currently trying to figure out how to rescue our small businesses because small businesses are tremendous value to this country. So how helping you survive is going to be key. In order to do that, they've been very reactive. They're trying to make sure that they pump money into the businesses to help you survive in maintaining your employees and maintaining the cost of operations so that when we're over this epidemic, you're able to continue going into this versus you just being at a hole, trying to get it all together and put all the pieces together afterwards. So to start, the SBA works to guarantee loans for small businesses. Really high overview. There's a 7A loan that's given to businesses to be able to get them started. SBA is not in the business of giving loans. And this is really important to understand in order for you to be able to be more patient into going into this process of developing all of this. SBA is in the business of guaranteeing loans for small business owners. That's one of the benefits that they have for you to work with them, one of the free services. So basically, if you're a business owner, sometimes you're not always able to get funding from banks. Therefore, they come in and they say, hey, we really believe in this business. We've been working to develop this business, and we guarantee that this will be paid. So when they do that guarantee, you're able to get the approval for the loans and you're able to get discounted rates. The reason this is important to know is because that will give you clarity into why it is that there's no lenders available. Right now, the biggest frustration is, where do I get lenders? There's a link there, but turns out that a lot of lenders are taking care of their own people. What we're asking for everyone is to be very patient because of the fact that the lenders are still signing up, because lenders were currently working under the guarantee of SBA, and it was only very specific lenders that were working with them. So right now, all these other banks and institutions are trying to jump on board to be able to facilitate this as well, so that they could rescue their business owners that have loans within their platforms, within their banks. Okay? So everyone's in the reactive mode, which means that there's communication issues. Right now, the government is bringing down the information saying, this is how much money you have, this is how we want it to work. And then every government official in every state is trying to translate that information to put it in and understand it with SBA. SBA is the funnel for all this stuff here, to be able to funnel it out to everyone else and work with everyone. So that alone gives you an understanding of what's happening. Then you have tech issues. Like I mentioned, SBA is not in the business of giving loans. Therefore, everything is discovery mode, test, pilot, discovery, while at the same time trying to handle everything at once. So the tech issues right now include ETRAN, which is a database that's being used that is on data overload. SBA does not have access to giving banks IDs and passwords and changing credentials or anything like that. It's not something they could fix. So what's happening is that if a bank has only two login accounts, then that's an issue that they can't take too many people coming in. The other thing is that they're still trying to figure out, the lenders are still trying to figure out what this all means. How is it going to look? What's the process? Because things are consistently changing. Things changed as of this morning, and I will give you those updates as well. So that's really important for you guys to understand. Amazon currently is trying to create an Amazon web service to be able to facilitate what's happening with ETRAN, to be able to help them be able to pump these loan requests faster. Because what's happening is that people that are going in to apply for these loans are either having issues logging in, there's delays with it, or what's happening is that the applications online aren't really lining up with what's supposed to be on the applications that are being processed by the individuals. So either they're asking for more information or missing information. So a lot of people were going in and they were saying, wait a minute, I didn't know that this was information I had to give. It's not on the actual paper application that I have or that I've seen. But that's to give you an idea of like what's happening with the systems. So SBA is limited to the lenders, like I mentioned earlier. And in the presentation, you'll see a list of active lenders that they've had throughout all the years of business that they've been doing. And those are used to taking in people that aren't just their clients. It's just guaranteed loans from the SBA. Okay. So now that we kind of clarified that and the pain points and why you need to be patient with everyone because everyone's like on reactive mode right now, we're going to go into a few of the facts with these loans. So there's currently 2 major loans that everyone's talking about. In reality, there's like 4 different options for everyone. The 2 main ones, ooh, so sorry. I thought I had turned it off. Sorry, guys. So there's 2 major loans that are being spoken about. One is called the EIDL, which is the Emergency Disaster Loan. And then the second one is the PPP. So the EIDL seems more attractive, but in reality, the PPP has better interest rates, but we'll go into that more in detail. There's 2 different purposes for each one. And it's very important to understand that you could apply for both as long as you're not using both for the same thing. Okay, so if you go into the links, so each of these have links in it. Right now, I'm first going to go into the EIDL fact sheet. And I'm going to go over that with each of you in detail. So I've highlighted there in the EIDL fact sheet. Sorry, let me just make sure I'm following along with everybody. Okay, so in that EIDL fact sheet, you'll see the 4 different options available for you to get support. But I'm going to go straight to page 2 where it shows about the economic injury disaster loans. As you see there, this is a sheet that has like all the frequently asked questions. I'm just going to go over some of these really quickly. So to be clear, everyone qualifies for the EIDL. So you could be a gig worker, a freelancer, you could be an actor, you could be a real estate agent, you could be anyone, a self-employed, small business owner, nonprofits, they all qualify under the EIDL. The EIDL is a loan that's taking place with the benefit of a $10,000 advance loan. So the $10,000 that is being given in advance is automatic if you qualify. So this is where I want to be clear because this changed as of this morning, and it's very important that you understand this. The assumption was that you applied for this, and if you qualified, you would get a $10,000 advance. So whether you qualified for the loan or not, you got $10,000. So everybody went yippee and started inundating the database trying to get $10,000. What's happening now is that they put a cap on every employee to get up to $10,000. So now every employee is getting $1,000. That's how much you'll get, $1,000 per employee. So you're not getting $10,000 as a sole proprietor just for yourself. So it's $1,000 per employee. Okay, so that advance piece, the advance piece is what is forgivable. The advance piece is what you will be able to get, and if used, gets to roll into the PPP as well. And I'll go more into that. But let's just focus on the EIDL on its own. So the EIDL, when you go to the application, it's very simple and very streamlined. They do not ask for any documentation in advance. They say that they will email you. It says it takes 3 days, but actually now, because of the inundation and the issues that I mentioned earlier, it's taken about 2 to 3 weeks. I work with so many different groups and so many different clients that we have. And right now we've had success with the PPP loans, but so far I don't know anyone that's gotten the EIDL yet, because that has been delayed. So if anyone has gotten the EIDL, please let us know here to see, so we could give you like Yahoos and Kahoots on that one. All right, so that's who's getting it. On the form, you'll see what the EIDL is used for. So this one, another thing to be very clear, these loans are meant for people to keep their employees. Again, they're trying to minimize the amount of impact that small businesses will have on employment rates and, just the economy as a whole. So keeping your employees is the main reason that these loans have been given. So, who is eligible for the EIDL? We went over that really quickly. Yes, you could be a nonprofit. Is a lot of questions that we get asked, and it's here on the form. Really important, your business has to have been established before January 31st. Oh my gosh. So sorry, guys. I don't know how to turn off this thing right now. And it's crazy because I never get that many calls, and now everybody wants to call. So the business has to be structured by January 31st. No ifs, ands, or buts. Apologize. Let me just shut off my phone since I can shut off the sounds. Okay. So if your business was not set up by then you cannot apply for it. Okay. Because you will need taxes. If you didn't have your taxes done, you need to be able to have your P&Ls. And we could share links on that as well if you don't know how to do certain financial information to back up the stuff that you've done. A big question that I get is whether or not, if you're a sole proprietor and you haven't been giving yourself payroll, whether or not you still qualify. The answer is yes, because you should be able to document the expenses that you've had, even if it wasn't paying yourself. Okay? Because you can use it towards operations. The next question here is about, can I get a PPP loan? Like I said earlier, yes, you could qualify for both as long as you're not using both for the same thing. So if you have employees and you have 2 employees covered by the EIDL, then you don't want to use it for the PPP. Okay. So I will go into the questions, Mimi, after. How do I know if my business is a small business? There's a link there for you to verify it. And also your accountant should be able to help you define that as well if you have a relationship with a great accountant. How do I apply? You're going to see there's the link as well. And the process, again, it's going to be you applying for it and being able to give the documentation after. Apparently, they will ask you for information after they have reviewed you. You have to, when you go into the application, you have to make sure you click on the advance. If you applied before this package was released, you need to go in and apply again if you want the advance. Again, the advance can be given to you even if you're not approved for the EIDL loan. The $10,000 advance, up to $10,000 advance, because again, it's only $1,000 per employee now as of this morning. Okay, so that will be automatically deposited in your bank account. So you have to make sure that you deposit in the bank account, that you provide the bank information, that it's an active bank account that you use, so that it's not just there, because what's happening is that they're not really notifying people. So apparently you're just going to see like the money there. So far, no one has received emails from them because you're supposed to get like an email confirmation. You don't. So after you fill in the application for the EIDL, you get a confirmation number. Make sure you're printing out that sheet so you have that information just in case for your records and in case you need it after. All right, guys? All right. So there's other information there that you could look into for the EIDL. So I'm going to go straight over to, okay, so the EIDL, very clear, the percentage rate on that is 3.75, and it's 2.75 for nonprofits. Okay. Again, only the advance is forgivable. And if you end up getting the loan, that's separate. So you won't have the interest on that. The other good thing about the EIDL is that you'll have the deferment period where you don't have to pay for X amount of time to be able to give yourself time for recovery. One advice that I would give everyone, if you're getting these loans, and a lot of people don't want to get into loans, but the truth is that it's either that or you're not going to be able to save your business. And these are very minimal percentage rates that you're paying on interest. So what's really important as a business strategist, I cannot emphasize enough, you need to come up with a strategy on how your business is either going to pivot or how your business is going to be able to pay back this loan if you don't qualify for forgiveness. So make a plan as to what you're going to do with your business. Don't be reactive, just getting money to put a Band-Aid. Find out how it is that you're going to be able to do this for your business, be able to pivot or grow or sustain your business beyond this loan. Because these loans are only for certain, the EIDL is only for that specific amount when you get the advance. And then the total, another question I got is, what is the total amount that they're going to get? They will decide based on your need and the documentation that you provide. All right. So that's really, really important for you to know. It's not like you could just go in there and say, hey, I need 100,000. Ain't going to happen. They're going to decide what it is based on what your expenses were before, what your payroll was before, all that information. Okay. So I'm going to go straight into the PPP now. And I just, I know people are going to have questions, so just bear with me because I want to make sure that I know right now it's data dumping, but just write down your questions and then I'm more than happy to answer anything else that I can. Okay. So we're going to go straight into the PPP fact sheet now that you could click there to follow along with me. So the PPP fact sheet, I've highlighted the questions to make it easier for everyone to follow. The highlighted points. So with the PPP, that one is meant specifically for payroll. The other one, you're able to use payroll and or operations, the cost of maintaining your cost of doing business. The PPP is specifically for payroll. So this is where the conditional piece happens. With the conditional piece, it's conditional because if you don't use it for what it's meant to be used, you will have to pay back the loan. But the good news is you're only paying it back at 1% rate. That's not bad, right? So 75% of the PPP loan has to be used for payroll. And yes, that includes you if you're the only person. I've had questions of people asking, well, I don't have employees. I'm the only person. You are the employee. You pay yourself a salary. If you don't, then you're able to prove that there was a cost of you doing business, as the service provider for your business. So this is really important also because people with 1099s, contractors, everyone, you could actually apply for this as well. So don't think that you have to be an actual business owner for you to be able to qualify for this. Because if you have a 1099, then you are a payroll that they're trying to make sure continues to get paid during this time. It's really important that you know that this is only for 8 weeks. So don't go thinking that this is going to be indefinite or anything like that either, okay? So 25%, not more than 25% can be used on nonprofit, on non-payroll costs. So that's your operational costs, again, that we mentioned, which is just the cost of like keeping the lights on or whatever else it is. This loan is not for you to revamp your business. This loan is not for you to enhance the way your building looks or, get that new furniture or whatever. That is not what this loan is for. Okay. So you have to make sure, because at the end, like I said, you have to ask for forgiveness. You have to make the request for forgiveness. and you have to be able to back it up. So for these loans, make sure, and even for the advance, just make sure that you're documenting. In general, you should be doing this, but I know a lot of small business owners kind of like neglect this piece because it's just not priority, but your financials are extremely important. So make sure that you're actually going in and documenting every cost, put away every receipt, scan it, file it, make sure it's all in order so that you're able to back up how this money was spent. Okay. So here you'll see the schedule in this sheet as to when they did the rollouts. Tomorrow is when the independent contractors and self-employed people could actually start applying. Tomorrow, April 10th. Again, how you apply the EIDL, you apply directly through SBA. That is automatically them sending that out and making sure that people get the 10,000. The PPP has to be through lenders. And this is where we were speaking about earlier, that lenders are still signing up. The problem is that everyone keeps telling everyone, apply fast. You have to apply right away because it's first come, first serve. But guess what? Not everybody can apply right away because either their bank isn't, first of all, banks are choosing their clients because, again, if I'm a bank and I have X amount of people owing me money, I want to make sure they get money first. So I'm not going to worry about new people. So for those of you getting frustrated about other banks not taking you, now you understand why, that it's because they have to make sure that they get covered, right? So they're letting those people go first. So the second reason is, so you have everyone doing that, and then you also have the lenders trying to figure out the process. So a lot of lenders are applying now to be able to get through the system, because that's another process you have to be aware of, is that lenders have to go in and apply to become an SBA lender. So they have to go through that whole process and then figure out their process on their back end. How are we going to process these people? What is this going to look like? How many people can we handle? La. Okay. So, but if you go to the link that's provided there, you will be able to see who the lenders are as they come about. Okay. Be very patient. If you don't have a relationship with a bank, if you don't own a loan with a bank, then start seeing how you could build the relationship. It's hard because you can't go in person and do a plea. You actually have to do everything on the phone, and people aren't on the phone and everything else. So I will be honest with you. The people that are getting the PPP loans are the ones that are persistent, that are willing not to give up. But if you're going to give up easily or you're going to get frustrated easily, then you're not going to get this loan. All right, guys? So there it explains everything on who could apply, and then what the loans could be used for. It breaks it down there for you guys as well. Payroll costs, interest on mortgage, rents, utilities, and then it goes into what counts as payroll. And this is really important, that employee benefits and all these things, are all included part of payroll as well. Key things, separate money for taxes when it comes to this as well. When you're taking the loan, make sure you're saving for the taxes that you have to pay every quarter. Okay, make sure that becomes part of your budget, that you're accruing for this. Does the PPP cover paid sick leave? Yes, that's also part of it. How large can my loan be? We already discussed that that's going to be all based on how the needs that they end up seeing that you have and what documentation you have to prove that you had certain expenses. The idea, again, is to sustain your business based on what your business was, and not to, give you an influx of money for you to go crazy with. All right. What else is here? You will also owe money if you do not maintain your staff. This is really key. Again, this is all about maintaining the payroll, maintaining people employed, avoiding the unemployment line. So if you had 8 employees and you let go of 4, your budget shows you had 8. So the government decides, yes, we're going to give you the loan. The government, the lenders decide, we're going to give you the loan for 8 people so that you could sustain 8 people for the 2 months. What ends up happening is that now you're like, but wait, I only have 4 people. You need to rehire people so that you have the 8. Okay, you can't do the 4 and then keep him for 4 months. No, if you're getting for 8, then you have to have 8 people working. You don't have to rehire if you've already laid off people, the same people if you don't want to. But you do need to have the 8 people covered for that. Okay? So, and you need to make sure you rehire them before the deadline. So according to this, you will have to rehire them by June 30th, the latest. So if you get the loan, you want to make sure you hire the people that, better said, rehire the positions. Again, because it doesn't have to be the same people if you don't want the same people to be rehired. Okay. The loan forgiveness, again, this is where I mentioned that you have to make sure that you go in and you make the request. And then it'll take 60 days for them to decide what that's going to be like. The interest rate on this is 1%. There's going to be a 6-month deferral for everyone so that, deferral means that you don't have to pay right away. And the loan is due in 2 years. So the question here is, can I pay my loan earlier? Of course you can. Do I need to pledge collateral? No, there's no collateral. The other question was about, that we got in another group was about, what about my credit score? So the credit score isn't really being viewed as tough as another loan would, because you would think, oh, it's 1%. I'm going to not qualify if my credit score isn't good. It doesn't have to be excellent. It doesn't even have to be good. It just can't be bad. So according to our SBA advisor, he was like if it's under 600, it's going to be questionable, but you might still get an invitation to the dance floor, he said. So, and then do I need to guarantee anything on the loan? No, there's no guarantees required. This is what makes this loan really, really attractive. In terms of what you need to certify, everything is listed here for you to be able to know exactly what that is. The documentation that they're going to need for this, because they're skipping, no one really says this in any of the Q&As with EIDL, so I wanted to make sure that I provided that for all of you guys. So that includes your certificate of business. You want to make sure you have that, your taxes, if you have your taxes, your financial report to be able to prove what it is that you need in terms of the financial support during this economic crisis. You will also need copies of your driver's license, your payroll expense verification, certification that all the employees are from the United States, and a detailed list of employees, their salaries, and your proof of expenses such as rent and mortgages. Okay? Whew. All right. So let me see. Oh, so the rolling into the EIDL. So like we mentioned, you could get the 2 loans. If you get the EIDL and you get, say, the $10,000 in advance, and then you get the PPP, they're able to roll the $10K into the PPP as part of the forgiveness. Okay? So that amount will automatically be part of the forgivable amount for you. And then there's a link there for faith-based organizations. I don't know if there's any faith-based organizations here, but overall, it's just clarifying that it's basically the same thing. There's no discrimination, and that faith-based organizations are getting support as well. And that would be like churches, mosques, temples, because they too need the support. They know that that's really important as part of just the country as a whole and what Americans need here. So, with that said, oh, Chantilly, I'm glad you think this is great info. You're very welcome. All right, so with that said, I'm going to go into the questions that were submitted. We went into the questions about, can I apply for both? Yes, you can. Can someone with a 1099 qualify? Absolutely. Do real estate agents qualify? Yes, you do. Am I self-employed? I'm a self-employed contract manager. Will I qualify for assistance? Yes, you do as well. I do not have employees. Do the loans have to be repaid? You are the employee, and as long as you are putting yourself as an employee and showing yourself being paid as an employee, then no, then that will be forgivable. Again, it's all about maintaining the payroll. So, and you're part of the payroll. How much could I qualify for? The government will decide how much you qualify for. How soon can this happen? As I mentioned, there's delays right now. So it was supposed to be 3 days after you apply. That was like, wow, right? But no, it's like now 2 to 3 weeks. So everything's varying. There's a lot of success with the PPP loans, especially with nonprofits. I've seen like nonprofits celebrating right now that it's been coming through. So hopefully we'll be able to celebrate that too with our nonprofit. I don't know. We'll see. But to obtain PPP loan forgiveness, do my employees need to remain on my payroll with their normal pay amount? What is the correct way to proceed without screwing my employees or myself? I am so glad someone asked this question because this is really, really important. As we said, there's delays in getting the loans, and employers are finding it really tough to keep the payroll going. Here's the thing, and you want to make sure you're letting your employees know. If you had to cut their hours, so unemployment has done a drastic change as well to make sure that they're also looking out for people. So the changes in unemployment include the fact that now you no longer have to be let go of your job. You could end up working partial hours and still qualify for unemployment. That's awesome, right? So if you can't pay your employee full and you had to cut their hours or cut their pay, they could go to unemployment and for the other percentage of what's missing and the extra money that they're giving. So they don't need to be fully unemployed. They could just say their hours got cut off and go in and qualify for it. And then you could just put them back on full payroll when you get the loans. So that's one way. If you do let go of them, you could tell them that they're being let go and then explain to them about the unemployment. I'm not going to get too much in unemployment, but now in addition to the standard amount that the unemployment was giving, they're adding another $600 on top of it. So that's across all this that we're talking about is nationwide. What differentiates, for example, Miami was only giving like 200 and something, and New York was 400 and something, and now they're adding 600 to everyone. So regardless of where it is, 600 is going on top of the unemployment. So this is something that you could look out for your employees, because I know a lot of people are really worried about their employees and they want to be able to like look out for them. And then employers are like, hey, I want to be loyal, but hey, what's happening here? I'm really stressed out. I'm really worried. So guide them towards the direction of the unemployment. So that's the way around it, where you're not screwing yourself or screwing them over. The other question, I already laid off some people. Do I have to rehire all of them under the PPP? Again, no, you do not have to rehire the ones you let go, but you do have to rehire the amount that you are being given for. So if you had 5 employees and you let go of 3, then you need to rehire 3 to be able to like have the 5 that you are claiming that your business needed to maintain the flow of business. And then where do I apply? Everything's being there. And again, this is all going to be about being patient and documenting your things. It's going to be so, so, so important. All right. And we have a link as well in the presentation that leads you to other resources that you could do in terms of finance, because there's a lot of other companies and organizations coming up with money for disaster relief, because everybody wants to look out for the small businesses to make sure that our economy is able to survive during this whole crisis. In the presentation, you'll see other slides that were given to me by SBA that has direct contact information for you to be able to ask more questions and have a direct contact there as well. Know that SBA has SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, at universities throughout every state. So what everyone is saying is, oh, just contact SBDC. They will be able to help you. Y'all, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. Before this chaos, my clients had issues getting through to SBDC and SCORE. That's the honest truth, because it just doesn't happen. And every SBDC has like different ways of doing intake for new mentees. So now with this, it's just crazier. So there's links there. I will make sure that you always look into the U.S. Treasury, and I'm sharing that as well with Rita after this. U.S. Treasury and SBA to get all the most recent information. Be careful with where you're getting all the information from, just because, again, the information is always being updated. So as I disclosed this when I first started, the information is going to vary, because it's going to be changing. And unless you're on top of it, you won't know what the changes are. So just make sure that you're trying to get it from the direct sources as to what's happening so that you have the latest information. Whew. So with that said, what questions we have, everyone? Rita, do you want to send the questions, or Brenda, link is updated? Because I know there's like a lot happening here. Whew. So show me emojis, guys. How are you feeling? What do you think? As I look through this to see what questions we have, and take a sip out of this to... Okay. Hello, ladies. Hello. Let's see. Hey, Minue. Hi, guys. Hola, Karina. Let's see who else. If they get approved for more than $10,000, does the entire amount considered a loan, or the first $10K? Only the first $10K that is given in advance. So the advance amount is what's being given. So that's really important to identify, because you necessarily, like I mentioned earlier, they did the change now that it's not $10,000 being automatically given. Then now it's going to be $1,000 per employee. So if you have 3 employees, then you'll get $3,000 from the EIDL, from the EIDL loan. So if then you get a loan for $20,000, then those $20,000 are what you're going to be paying for. One key thing that our SBA advisor said, because he's just like, apply for it all, make sure you apply for both. You could always deny the EIDL, get your advance and deny the EIDL approval and just take the PPP, because the PPP is 1%. Because remember, again, the EIDL loan is 3.75 for for-profits and 2.75 for nonprofits. So the EIDL is not the route to go. For the exception, what's attractive about it is the forgivable 10 in advance that's given to people, the up to 10,000, because again, now it's only going to be like 1,000 per employee. Okay, so that percentage that's given to you as an advance is forgivable. The actual loan that's given after is not. Another thing I will say to everyone, when you get these loans approved, make sure you're reading the fine print. Make sure you're asking all the questions. Make sure you speak to the lender about their understanding of what you need to be given as proof to be given the forgiveness for these loans. Make sure you do that, and make sure you document it. Make sure you ask when it is that you have to submit, because right now we haven't been able to get the answer, because I keep asking, okay, when do we go and make in the request to be able to ask for forgiveness? Is it after the deferred period? Is it immediately after I get approved? Which obviously can't be, because I need to be able to document that I use this money for whatever it is that I said I was going to use it. So that's something that you have to be aware of. When you apply, I did not see where we can upload document. Oh, you won't. Nothing is asking you to upload documents right now. What's going to happen is that after you apply, you're going to be notified and contacted, and that's where you're going to be able to provide verification of everything that you need to give. But right now, you will not be submitting anything for the EIDL. The PPP is different, but the EIDL, that one is just straightforward. It's a quick 5-7 minute. Honestly, y'all, apply for it. Go in there, apply for it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're not going to get anything if you have nothing, Okay. regarding PPP, if you have 5 workers and 2 of them have a salary of over 100K, would those employees be excluded, or we claim up to just? Yeah, they would only give up to just 100K if they see that you have all the documentation approving that. So for those people that were getting 500K, sorry, y'all, they're not trying to cover that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Someone's getting another message for the link. Self-employed with no employees can apply for both loans. Yes, you can. Yes, self-employed with 0 employees can apply for both loans. Again, for those people, tomorrow is the launch date for the PPP loan applications. So you can start applying then. If I don't pay myself as an employee, just owner withdrawal, how do I prove my income? Oy. Okay, that's a whole discussion we need to have about your financials. But if you've documented the withdrawal and everything else, there's a way that you're able to document that. You really do need to speak to an accountant to be able to help you navigate through that process. Okay. Yes, I haven't filed 2019 and 2018 didn't have any profit. You need to have employees for the PPP. No, actually, you could be the employee because even though you're the owner, you're considered the employee and you could pay that salary for yourself. Because I kept asking that question with SBA and they say, yeah. Again, you also could end up putting yourself as as the not contractor, but yes, the whole point is you can. Again, just apply, because the worst thing is that they're going to tell you no. But our understanding with SBA over and over again is that yes, you are considered the employee. You just have to be able to verify that. Now, if you haven't been paying yourself as you should have and reporting that you're paying yourself separately, like with my different businesses, we make sure that it's like, okay, this is what we made, these are the profits, and this is the payment that we're making to the owners, and this is the payment that we're making to the employees. So everything's really clearly documented. So if we haven't filed 2019 and 2018, haven't had a profit, they said that it's fine, because what you're going to need, a lot of people haven't filed their taxes and they extended the deadline. For those of you that don't know, they did extend the deadline for taxes. So it's fine, but what you do need is your financials. So the P&L sheets and stuff like that, have it all set and ready to show them to be able to prove that. Okay, the link was updated. If I don't pay myself as an employee, just on the, oh yeah, that one I already got. Yep, got that. Okay. Whew. Yay, I went through it all. Great, guys. So any other questions? We just went through everything that was in the comments. Any other questions from anyone in terms of what's happening? How are you all feeling? Show me some emojis. Did you guys enjoy this? If anyone has further, oh yeah. If anyone has further questions for you, can they post it here later? Yes, we will be having, Angelica and Rita are gonna have this video here on their page, and I will just follow up to see what the questions are and just try to respond as we go. And I'll also share links through here as well, through this thread, to make sure that you guys have like the most recent information. But I'm happy to answer any questions. But again, you know,